Welcome back to the Today in History Show for May 12th, 2020. Today, instead of just three stories and a musical ending, we're going to have four stories. But frankly, they're really short stories. A couple of them are kind of fun, a couple of them are kind of interesting, one of them I had absolutely no idea about before I was doing the research for this, which is making this whole project of creating the Today in History Show very interesting both for myself and hopefully for you too. So, with that being said, let's get started with today's show. This whole pandemic going on and people having to stay home and not people unable to work or having to work from home, this is a very momentous week in the Quad Cities as a Quad Cities historic institution opened its doors back up to start serving the public. Anybody know what I'm talking about? Well, if you guessed Whitey's Ice Cream, then you guessed correctly. And our first story today deals with ice cream. On May 12th, 1777, the very first advertisement appeared in the Philip Lindsay New York Gazette for ice cream. Prior to that, yes, people made ice cream and served it, but it had never been advertised publicly before, trying to get more and more customers. Think about that the next time you're at Whitey's or at Hy-Vee buying ice cream, or at Dairy Queen, or let's see, Maggie Moo's is out of business. That's kind of sad. Goldstone Creamery. What's your favorite kind of ice cream? Please put it in the comments below. Staying in New York for our second story, frankly, a lot of things seem to happen in New York, but on May 12th, 1789, the Society of St. Tammany was formed by Revolutionary War soldiers, and later it became the very infamous New York political machine. The political machine is where bosses were strong public people, sometimes even behind the scenes, control who's in charge, make decisions for the greater people. When you're old enough, if you watch the movie Gangs of New York, you'll kind of get a little bit of an idea of public corruption. There's been many, many different TV shows and movies made about Tammany Hall and the political and public corruption that took place in New York, controlling that city's political landscape. You should check it out. For our third story, we jump into the 20th century, where in 1932, on May 12th, Goofy, at that time known as Dippy Dawg, first appeared in Mickey's Revue by Walt Disney. Let's take a moment and watch some of Goofy's finer moments.
His clumsiness and unmistakable holler have made him one of the most popular cartoon characters of all time. Welcome to WatchMojo.com, and today we'll be taking a look at the origins of Goofy. This iconic Disney creation first made his debut on May 25, 1932, in the Mickey Mouse cartoon Mickey's Revue. Originally named Dippy Dawg, he was an audience member of the music show who gleefully annoyed the other spectators. Drafted by Frank Webb and developed by Disney animator Art Babbitt, this version of Goofy was a gullible simpleton and a friendly hick. What also set him apart from the character we know and love today was that he was an old dog with a white beard and a puffy tail. However, despite these differences, Goofy did show off his trademark laugh, which was provided by voice actor Pinto Colvig. Soon enough, he was redesigned as the younger character who appeared as a joyous guest at the Whoopee Party. By the time he took part in 1934's Orphans Benefit, he was finally rebranded as Goofy to better represent his personality. Goofy's popularity made him a Disney staple, and he went on to form a comedy trio alongside his pals Mickey Mouse and Donald Duck. Their first romp together was the classic cartoon short, Mickey's Service Station.
At your service, sir. You break them, we fix them.
This led to further misadventures in shorts like The Moving Day and Clock Cleaners. loved Goofy thanks to his clumsy, dim-witted demeanor, and this made him one of Disney's most popular characters.
Gosh, I didn't know you was a lady. Pardon me.
Soon, he became recognizable for his new look, which included a hat, pants, a long-sleeve shirt, and a vest. However, despite being a man-dog hybrid with the ability to speak, Goofy continued to generate confusion from audiences thanks to his similarity to Pluto, Mickey's pet pooch. Since much of the comedy trio's humor came from Goofy and Donald, the two became their own team with 1938's Polar Trappers, where the pair survived on canned beans while stationed in the Arctic trying to capture walruses. Goofy proved capable of carrying much of the comedy, so he was given his own solo cartoon outings beginning with 1939's Goofy and Wilbur.
Gosh, Wilbur, thought you was a goner.
When Goofy's voice actor departed the studio that same year, Disney decided to recast the character in a string of how-to cartoons, where he developed his iconic Goofy holler. By 1942's How to Play Baseball, the supporting characters surrounding Goofy were made to resemble him in an attempt to normalize his world. Colvig returned as Goofy's voice in 1944, and the character soon transformed into a family man, complete with the full name George Geef, which implied that Goofy was just a nickname.
Geef, take that coat out of here.
The character also became smarter, lost his droopy ears, and was given shrunken facial features and a much more normal-sounding voice.
But boss, look, I don't have a coat. Achoo!
However, those changes couldn't keep Goofy in the spotlight, and by the time 1965's educational film Goofy's Freeway Troubles rolled around, his popularity had faded.
Oh, what a worrywart. Look at the old fuss budget.
What made this even sadder was that the man behind his voice passed away just 2 years later. With other actors replicating his speech, Goofy reemerged in 1983's Mickey's Christmas Carol as Jacob Marley.
Gosh, kind of slippery.
This led to his appearance in 1987's Sport Goofy in Soccer Mania and a brief cameo in the next year's Who Framed Roger Rabbit.
Boy, did you see that? Nobody takes a wallop like Goofy. What timing, what finesse, what a genius!
The 1992 TV series Goof Troop was a successful attempt to introduce the character to a new generation.
Dr. Liverworth here says the car can raise your baby's IQ 140 points. Your kid's gonna be a rocket scientist.
There, he assumed the role of a single father who lived with his son Max and his cat Whiskers. That victory spawned 1995's A Goofy Movie and its follow-up, 2000's An Extremely Goofy Movie.
Stand up and loop it out with a devil flip to a head, bud. Go!
Goofy's next role was as a head waiter on The House of Mouse, where he balanced his traditional Disney persona and his fatherly relationship with Max.
Where's your dad?
Now that's parallel parking.
Today, Goofy continues to appear in the early childhood education program, Mickey Mouse Clubhouse,
That was a whole lot of fun. Yippee!
and in cameos in various Disney-licensed video games like Kingdom Hearts. An icon of the Walt Disney Company, Goofy remains one of the most famous animated characters in the world. Despite his age, he continues to entertain generations of children with his hilarious personality, antics, and unforgettable holler. Are you a Goofy fan? What's your favorite appearance by the Silly Pooch?
So I know at the beginning of the episode I told you there were going to be 4 stories today. Well, I apologize. There's going to be 5 stories today before our ending. Our 4th story today was news to me when I found out about it. I know quite a bit about World War II history, and I knew from reading the book Shadow Divers that there were U-boats patrolling off the Atlantic coast off of New York and things like that. And the book Shadow Divers is about late 20th century divers discovering a German U-boat, investigating to find out what U-boat it was and everything. It's a great book, and I don't believe they have turned it into a movie yet, but they could, and they really should. It's a great story. It's factual, it's interesting, and you should read it. But back to our fourth story for today. On May 12th, 1942, off the mouth of the Mississippi in the Gulf of Mexico, German U-boat 507 sank an American cargo ship. Now, I also found out when doing a little bit of research that there were over 27 different U-boat patrols in the Gulf of Mexico during World War II. Frankly, I never knew the Germans had gotten that close to the inner heart, in a sense, of the American shipping industry into our Gulf of Mexico coast area. So, even at my age, you still learn something new every day, and you should keep trying to do that yourself. On to our fifth story. Our fifth story is something you guys might find interesting, and something maybe you still have around. In 2005, on May 12th, Microsoft officially unveiled the Xbox 360. Now, you guys know what the Xbox 360 is. Alright, the console at that time had very much improved graphics. Now, that's 15 years ago, so you probably think those are very old graphics. Frankly, many of you weren't even born when Microsoft released the 360. So how many of you, if you ask your parents or older brothers and sisters, how many of you still have an Xbox 360 or used to play on an Xbox 360? In the comments below, put what gaming system you're using during this time of stay at home. So that wraps up our show for today, May 12th, 2020. I hope you enjoyed the show. I hope you're staying connected with all your teachers and your education through the Google Classrooms. I hope you're attending the teacher office hours and participating in the Kahoots and the other interactive activities that your teachers are working very hard to produce and share for you. On a special note, watch KWQC on May 20th. There's going to be an hour-long program provided by KWQC with content created by the teachers at your Davenport schools. It's the intermediate version, and I believe tentatively it's going to be showing from 4 until 5 p.m. During the time that is normally Paula Sands Live. But check out Channel 6, KWQC, for more details, and I know there will be more information coming forthwith. So that wraps up our show for today. Alright, like I said before, stay in touch with your education. As we head out today, we're going to listen to the singer Ray Charles, who on May 12th, 1998, was received $133,000 in the Polar Music Prize. This prize was given to him by King Carl Gustaf XVI of Sweden. The award was created and established by Sig Anderson, who was the manager of the pop group ABBA. So enjoy our musical ending. Good day. See you tomorrow.
Yes, if you say so, I'll have to pack my things and go.
That's right, hit the road, Jack. And don't you come back no more, no more, no more, no more. Hit the road, Jack. And don't you come back no more.
What you say?